So, how do you think President Biden is preparing? Because he was the one to initially call the debate, and then Donald Trump did agree rather swiftly.
Right. I think Donald Trump even just said, I want even more debates after today. We'll see how he feels in the morning. Um, I think that the president has got to be careful of one thing. If I were to give him one piece of advice, do not take credit for things that people in America believe don't merit credit, at least not yet. And I just start and go with Bidenomics. You know how he's been pushing Bidenomics and it's been a success. What he should say is simply, look, I came into office, a lot of things were coming against us, COVID in particular. We've started to turn the ship. We've started back on that proverbial comeback trail. I'm very encouraged about where we're heading, but we're not where we need to be yet. Versus, it's all done. We've done a great job. Aren't you enjoying Bidenomics? If he does that, and anything having to do with the southern border or the conflict in Gaza or situation with the Chinese, the Russians, etc., I think that people are not going to believe what he is saying or not want to feel that what he is saying is true. And yet, to this point in this campaign, it seems, and this is, by the way, it's not just the Joe Biden, a lot of people in public office do the very same thing. They try to defend something that people feel is not completely defensible. If he doesn't cross that line and is more humble, I think he could score points. If he does what he's been doing, I think people are just going to shake their head and say, we don't buy it.
Low hanging fruit for President Biden is calling Trump a convicted felon. So,
Right.
A, do you think he should do that? B, how does Trump respond to that?
Well, Trump, of course, will take on the legal system. At least the legal system is practiced in the court case in New York, where the prosecutor, the judge, everyone, he's going to say, or we're kind of in the bag to begin with. That's how he's going to deal with it. In terms of the president, he will mention that. But if he dwells on that, I think he has to worry about what are the comebacks. Hunter Biden, right? What do you do about him? And by the way, that's a very uncomfortable place for Joe Biden to be, not just as president, but as a dad. How do you respond? And he's been talking about it a little bit, Brittany, in the press. How do you respond to, should your son go to jail?
That's a great question. I mean, how should he respond? Because if President Biden invokes Hunter Biden, says, wait, your son's a convicted felon too, I mean, A, that is deeply personal. Hunter Biden's not running for president. We know Joe Biden, as painted in the press, as he said before, is a loving father, has deep love for his son, had a response where he said, I'm not going to pardon my son, but I do love my son. I am proud of him. What is the response that President Biden should have in his back pocket if and probably when Hunter Biden's brought up?
You just said it, Brittany. You couldn't have said it better. That is his response. And it starts with being a dad. And if he could just kind of let his hair down a little bit and just feel that moment and be a dad for 30 to 60 seconds, I think the American public will respond positively. Look, Joe, regardless of what you think about the legal aspects of that case against Hunter Biden, it seems like it's clear from all the evidence that we've seen in the public domain that he's guilty of the offense. It doesn't mean you don't have compassion for someone that obviously has struggled with drug addiction for a very, very long time. And if as dad, he responds to that question, I think, again, he could score points. And I think Donald Trump, if I were advising the former president, I would just let that be.